Alrighty. It says we're live. That means we're probably live. Hello, humans, friends, viewers, people, haters, aliens, Zelda fans. Tonight, we will be attempting to list off at least 100 details that Nintendo has yet to reveal about Tears of the Kingdom. What are those details? Well, that's what we're gonna figure out today. I do not know what these details are. I'm sure I could figure some out as we go, and I'm sure you guys in the chat will figure some out as we go. That is the general plan. And you know, I'm gonna give it a few minutes. I'm gonna wait for people to roll in, guys. If we could, you know, get more people in, like the stream, it's super appreciated, it's super helpful. But yes, the plan is to just, you know, talk about everything that we need to know about Tears of the Kingdom before it comes out. So there's been a lot of talk about a Nintendo Direct next week. I think it's probably happening next week, and if it's not next week, it'll be the week after, most likely. But regardless of what happens within the next couple weeks, whether there's a Direct or not, and Tears of the Kingdom is going to be in a Direct for sure. But point I'm getting at is that when we get this information within the next couple weeks, probably, we're not going to get everything. The game comes out May, and there may be things that we won't learn about the game until it comes out. So, if anything, you can maybe argue, maybe I should have thought a little bit more about the title, but hopefully it's fine. I think you guys get it. It's just details about Tears of the Kingdom that we anticipate Nintendo could make an announcement for at some point or another. And a lot of these announcements may come in the last month before it comes out. Like, you know, when they go out on Twitter, like, oh, so did you know in Tears of the Kingdom, Link can switch hands with swords because he can. He's ambidextrous. He's not right-handed or left-handed. He just, depending on where the wind's blowing when he wakes up, that's what he decides to do. Like, that could be a random fact, right? Like, it could be something like that. You know, as I'm talking about it, like, I'm starting to think, okay, well, what if we kind of, maybe we could learn more lore about Link? Like, that's maybe something there, but I'm trying to decide, is lore about Link enough to say, or can I be more specific? Can I be like, okay, will we learn about Link's, like, parentage? Like, there is reference to his father in Breath of the Wild. Will we learn more about that and that lineage? Will we learn more about how, you know, his growth as a knight? Will we learn more about his vow of silence? So there's, you know, we can get specific, and there are, so I do feel confident that we can hit 100 tonight. Absolutely. I think that that's possible. At least 100 facts. Will we get 100 people watching? Well, maybe if y'all like the stream. If y'all like the stream, we may get 100 people watching. I'm trying to decide when I should start going over the facts here, or the details. I kind of want to wait until, like, you know, people are here. But let's let me check in with the chat, and then you know, we'll get into it soon. Audio animations. Hello, chat. I'm gonna just say it here. I just want a story trailer to know what I'm getting into. Other than that, I'm good to wait until release day. Can't wait to be surprised. Oh yeah, you know, I don't need Nintendo to spoil everything. No, but you know, these are just different things Nintendo could tell us about, and I wouldn't want them to tell us the world. Not at all. AB James, my biggest question in this one is, how will the map work? For example, will there be Zonai Towers? Where did Zelda fall to? Those are several questions right there. I'm gonna be using some of the things you guys say in the chat, by the way, so you know, I'm coming back to this. Audio animations. I think it would be cool if Zelda is trapped underground and the only way to explore the underground area is as Zelda. It would be cool, but I do feel it might take a little bit away from the open exploration, because if you're this one single character, you want to be able to go everywhere possible, right? But I don't know, maybe they could lock things up at one point or another. And I do understand your point. Hey, playable Zelda, have her own sections, like that could be cool, but it would be restrictive, and that's something that I'm not sure I'm okay with. Like, I want to be Link, And I want it to be in the skies. I want to get to the surface. And if there is a giant subterranean environment, I want to be able to go there as well. I want it to be entirely open. And if they lock it, it takes away from that. So that's the one issue I kind of have with it. But maybe it's something that opens up later on and it can start like that. That's a possibility. DW for Smash, you are also super hyped for Tears of the Kingdom. Yeah, me too. I don't know if you guys can tell. Having Hope 5, hello. Spheromancer, what up, what up? Joy CJ, hello. Thank you for modding. DE Fox, I see you here as well. Thank you for modding. Nintendo Gaming Pet Dog. Oh, okay. All right. We're at 50 concurrent viewers. I think now we can start with the facts that need to be said. You need able to pet dogs. This needs able to pet dogs. This is an extremely important detail that without this, it would just completely ruin everything. It would break it. We need to be able to pet dogs in Tears of the Kingdom. And I'm trying to remember. I don't remember the interview, like all the details, but I remember I think at one point they thought about being able to pet a dog, and I think it came down to the systems. They wanted to focus more on the flexibility of the systems in place, and because they focused more on the freedom of the different systems they had in place, this meant not necessarily always kind of like animating a whole bunch of random specific things, and creating events for a whole bunch of specific little things. So this is why you weren't able to pet dogs in Breath of the Wild, apparently, from what I vaguely remember. However, in the Champions Ballad DLC, there's a cutscene where you see Zelda and Daruk talking, and there's a dog, and Zelda is petting the dog. So, petting dogs, that should be something that they should tell us about, that need to reveal at some point if we can pet dogs. Whether we find out with reviews, previews, or playing the games ourselves, or it's announced, hey, you can pet dogs in Tears of the Kingdom. Couldn't do that in Breath of the Wild. That is our first fact. We only got 99 more to go, and I'm totally going to milk this. I feel like, we probably could get through 100 pretty quick. Jay and Drysdale, Tears of the Kingdom needs to have difficulties. Multiple difficulties. You know what? Sure. Yeah. I mean, they already included Master Mode in Breath of the Wild. They might as well have Master Mode as a difficulty in Tears of the Kingdom from day one. So, Master Mode or other difficulty options. Yep. We're at 2. Still need 98 more. The bigger reality, hello. Oh, Robert Twilight. Hello. I usually don't comment ever, but love your content, bro. I'm usually here listening to my personal life stuff. Super hyped for Tears of the Kingdom. Thank you for being a lurker. That's totally fine. I'll have you know, I typically lurk myself. So, yeah, I totally get it. And I just appreciate that you watch. And thanks for letting me enjoy the content. Lion Star, hello. 10,000 noodles. Konbanwa. I don't think I understand, but awesome. Harry Myers. Hey, Andres, thanks for going over all the direct news, getting more and more hype. Yeah, I am hyped as well. I'm excited for a direct soon. DW for Smash. We need a good length trailer for the game now. Yeah, you know what? This is a big one, but let's do it. A full length trailer with both story and gameplay. Well, let's just say a full length trailer. Gonna keep my cards close to my pocket. I mean, hand, that jazz. But we have yet to receive a full-length trailer yet. Hasn't happened. Can you... Oh, wait. You know what? I'm sorry. Okay. I just realized something, guys. I've been writing it down, but I haven't been showing you. I assumed you guys could see. So let me change this over. Alright, there you go. Now you can see. You can see it. There we go. And just let me know if you guys can hear and everything looks okay. But now, there we go. So, my bad. Now you can see it. Yes, I bother. It's on a sticky note, and I have 100 already out. So, there we go. But yeah, anyway. So, we need a full-length trailer. This has got to happen. By the way, let me know if this is legible. Is there a way to make the font bigger on this? I don't use sticky notes enough. I usually use real notes. Let's see. Italics. Underline. Strike through. Toggle bullets. Add image. I don't know. I can't think of a way to do it. I can bold. That might help a little. That might help a little. Anyway, so, a full-length trailer. The bold kind of bothers me. I'm unbolding. Unless you guys tell me to bold it, I'm gonna unbold it. Yeah, I don't really want to do that. So, going back to the point that I've completely just ignored. So, yeah, full-length trailer. We have yet to get one. We have... what? We have 4 different trailers, and I say that with air quotes because there's 3 teaser trailers basically. They're each about 90 seconds long, and if you account for the intros that don't show that much, that are very cryptic, there's really a minimal amount of actual gameplay or even story cutscenes we've seen about this that give us a lot of context for what's going on. I mean, it's ridiculous. And then the 4th thing was when they had the development update, they showed us footage from a previous trailer, but they included a couple like 3 or 4 seconds of footage with Link holding the Master Sword, it being destroyed and glowing. And that's everything we've gotten. So, yeah, we haven't had a full-length trailer. Like, the actual Breath of the Wild trailer is like 3.5 minutes long. Actually, you know, let me pull it up for you guys. Let me show you. Okay. Let's see here. Breath of the Wild. There's 2 major trailers for this game. Alright, so the Nintendo Switch... Oh, jeez. Okay. Alright, check this out. Look. I'm pretty sure you guys can see this. Okay. So, the first major trailer where they announced the title, E3 2016, it is 3 minutes and 19 seconds long. This trailer right here, the famous trailer, it's like the most amazing trailer of all time, 3 minutes and 50 seconds long. Like, it's just crazy how bad that is. I mean, actually, look, they even show some of the sequel trailers are here, right? The second trailer, 1:39. The first trailer, 1:27. The launch timing update, I mean, that's nothing, so, you know. It's just, yeah, not, and this is a GameSpot one, but 1:37. So these are the 3 major trailers, and they're all super short. So, yeah, we have not gotten a full-length trailer, and that is something we absolutely need to get. Probably next week. Probably next week. Alright. Jay and Dressel. Tears of the Kingdom needs to have difficulties and multiple save files. Okay, so I'm not going to put the multiple save files because I don't think that's... I mean, it's possible that they'll do that because previous Zelda's had it, but they didn't do it with Breath of the Wild, so I'm not sure they'll do it with the Tears of the Kingdom. I mean, the thing is, there's only one save file, but if you switch to Master Mode, it's like a second save file, And when you're in the game, you have several different, like, you know, save spots in the specific game itself. So, you know, there's a lot of flexibility there. And keep in mind, when you're on your Switch, you can change your Nintendo accounts. You can create a new Nintendo account if you want to have a different save file. So, you know, you can, it's fine. Like, you know, I'm not sure they're gonna add another save file or the typical 3, not in the traditional way. So I'm not gonna put that here, but definitely, you know, the difficulty one, I already acknowledged that. That one I think makes sense. Yes, Having Hope 5. It's only 99 days till Tears of the Kingdom. It's crazy. We are down to the double digits. All right, I see I have a super chat here. Let me check this out. Oh, okay. I got a few things here. All right, Rigo Romero has been a member for 3 months. Thank you, Rigo, for being a member all this time. It's super appreciated. And Rigo with the super chat, thank you very, very much for the super chat. Hey, Andra, since you know next to the Switch, the new Switch is coming out, will you buy Tears of the Kingdom Special Edition OLED? All right, well, so first thing I want to say, here, I'll come back to the list in a second. Just want to, full face. We don't know that it's coming out next year, right? We don't know for a fact, 100%. So I just want to make it that clear that we do not know. It could still happen this year. I doubt it at this stage, but it could. And it may not even come out this year or next year. It may take even longer. God forbid. But, you know, we don't know for a fact. That all said, I am operating under the assumption currently that it is coming out next year, mid-2024. That's my current expectation. That may be that may change as evidence presents itself. My opinion may change, right? But to answer your question fully, regardless, I will be purchasing a Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom OLED edition if that exists. Yeah, that's gonna happen. So, yeah, there we are. Actually, I see here, Natsu also has been a member for a whole month again. So, thank you, Natsu, for staying a member as well. That is also super appreciated, buddy. Thank you. All right, let's see here. Well, I actually want to go back to the beginning because I think some of you said some things that, so for example, AB James. In this one, how will the map work? For example, will there be Zonai Towers? Where does Zelda fall to? So, I think that's a great one. How does the map work? So, at some point, we're gonna have to learn how the map works. Because, yes, this game is based off the world of Hyrule in Breath of the Wild. And it's in the same area, sure. But it's changing dramatically. We know that. The surface is going to change dramatically. So the topography may not even be the same. There may be new towns or ruins may have been changed around. There may be new holes and openings and different things that could be occurring. So the map's not going to be the same just for the surface. But then how do they also show us the sky? Like how is the sky going to play into how they demonstrate everything on the map? And if there are subterranean elements, which I do believe there are, then they need to tell us about that as well. That needs to, all these different things need to be reflected on a map. And this also could even extend to the ocean. Now, the ocean's part of the map already, but if the map's expanded, if the boundaries go beyond typical Hyrule, they need to show that. And if there's a lot of underwater exploration, will that be reflected as well? Or will that fall under the subterranean version of the map? So maybe there's like 3 different levels of map that you can take a look at. Either way, though, at some point or another, Nintendo will need to reveal how the map works. Maybe this happens, you know, at some point. So that's a good one. Now, in the spirit of doing some of this myself, I am going to say we need to learn about what happened to Zelda. Although you said that, didn't you? Where does Zelda fall to? So you kind of did. So I'm kind of stealing it, but I mean, at some point this would need to be said. What happened to Zelda? Or rather, no, let me change it. It's two different things. We need to see the whole beginning segment of the game. The opening cutscene, I'm going to rewrite it as. Cutscene in full. Alright, so, like, hair on my face. Alright. So, and we'll come back to Zelda 1 in a moment, then I'll come back to the chat and look what you guys have had to say. So, the opening cutscene, basically, most of the first trailer, I believe, is related to the opening cutscene. I believe that is basically the inciting incident for Tears of the Kingdom, and there's evidence as to, you know, to substantiate all of this, right? As we've seen throughout the footage, everything seems to be positioning as this being the opening segment. Now, there's a debate if maybe it's a flashback or what have you, and maybe that's the case. Regardless, though, we are going to get clarity at some point on how the game opens up, and so I'm just going to leave it as the opening cutscene in full, because I personally am speculating that that cutscene, the sequel trailer, the first one, that a lot of those shots are the beginning opening. That's the opening of the game. With that said, we also do need to learn about Zelda's role. What is Zelda's role in the game? So Zelda, Princess Zelda, she falls down a hole. What happens to her? Does she die? Does she get possessed by malice and become something else? Is she lost and it's left ambiguous and we don't know what happens to her throughout the course of the entire game? It's like a mystery and we find out. Is she playable? Does she have some sort of role? Will she talk to you through her powers over the course of the game? Like, there's all of these different elements or different ways they could go about handling Zelda in this game that we don't know about. So at some point, we do need to learn about Zelda's role. And it wouldn't surprise me if you learn about it before the game comes out. I think this one's a pretty likely one that we'll learn about her role in the game at some point. So, there. Even though, you know, I did take a little bit from what you said, AB James, I think I expanded on it a little bit. So, you know, I feel good that I put in some of my own input here. So I have a few super chats, so let's get to those. All right, and when I do the super chats, I think I'll like bounce back and forth between the list and camera, just for the sake of variety, really. That's kind of it. All right, so Samuel A with a super chat. Thank you very much for the super chat, Samuel. By the way, Samuel will be showing up later for the call-in segment. So members are eligible to join in for call-in segments. So about 20-ish minutes. He'll join in through Discord and he'll help with the conversation that we're having tonight. So that'll happen in about 35-ish minutes. Anyways, Samuel A says, or asks, do you think dungeon items return? And I think this is a fantastic question that will serve for our list as well. I'm not sure if dungeon items will return, to be totally frank. I can speculate and say I could say I want it, I could say maybe. I will tell you this though. The second trailer, we see a shot of Link inside some sort of structure. I'm not sure if it's a cave or underground or a dungeon, but Link's inside this some sort of structure that's not open to the environment, or not clearly at least. And there's like this worm gelatinous-like thing from the ceiling attacking him, and Link is fighting back, and Link has a shield, but there's like a dragon head attached to his shield that breathes fire. It looks like a Zonai head. So this is clearly some sort of apparatus item for the shield. I don't know if it's an add-on or if it's just a dragon head shield. This is a new item in the game. That much is clear. Will it be an item you unlock by progressing through a dungeon? Will it be an item you can simply find, like the same way you can find spears and swords and lances and bows and things like that throughout Breath of the Wild? That we don't know. So it is tricky. I can't tell you with 100% certainty, Samuel, how that will happen. But I do think we will learn about how items work in Tears of the Kingdom. How items work. And I'm not referring to like the rune abilities. I'm just talking about equipable items. So how equipable items work. And this includes that, right? And then we'll get a good understanding if items will be in dungeons. I think that, and so to kind of hone in a little bit more on your question, Samuel, I think part of the issue with this idea of dungeon items returning is if you incorporate a new item that gives you new abilities, the kind of abilities it gives you, depending on how that works, it could be in part of a restrictive overall game design. And the idea, at least with Breath of the Wild, was to be as open as possible. So they didn't have dungeon items that gave you specific abilities for progression, because that, you know, if you need that item to get to a certain place, that inherently limits progression if you don't get that item immediately, right? Now, what they did instead is that they gave us champion powers, which had different benefits in battle, but none of them were mandatory. So, I'll say this. I do think there will still be some sort of upgrade that we will get related to a dungeon that it'll be an improvement, right? It may just be kind of how they handle it in Breath of the Wild. It may be handled a little bit better. Maybe it is items that are restrictive, or maybe they're items, but there's still multiple ways to solve a problem, and these items that we get just make it a little bit easier. So I do think there will be some sort of power-up item that we do obtain per dungeon, but I don't know if they will be exactly the way they were like with previous dungeons, where it was related to restrictive game design. So that's all I can say for now. Brian Doe with another super chat. Thank you very much, Brian. Brian says, the devs said that they were playing 2 games. The first was Red Dead. The second is assumed to be Tsushima or Horizon. I don't see Zelda dungeons. You mean I'm assuming you mean after Breath of the Wild, right? So there's an interview where some of the devs are playing those games. But just because they're playing those games, that doesn't mean that they're going to mimic those games exactly and not bring dungeons back. So I don't know if I agree. But on the flip side, we don't have proof of dungeons yet either. So that's an interesting point. I guess that is another thing that Nintendo needs to reveal about this game. Will class, or rather, let's just make it simple. How will dungeons work? Because there's going to be dungeons. The question is what kind of dungeons, right? Like, so for example, Breath of the Wild had 120 shrines, and those are mini dungeons. And then you had the 4 Divine Beasts, which were bigger dungeons, but not really as big as previous Zelda games. So at some point, we need to learn how these challenges are going to work in Tears of the Kingdom. That is an important thing to learn about. So definitely, we need to learn how dungeons are going to work at some point. Brian Doe with a second super chat. Thank you very much for the super chat, buddy. Brian says, in Breath of the Wild, the shrines existed in a separate area. All of them were in this area. This area will be used for something. My guess is Minish type dungeons. Minish type dungeons. So, forgive me. It's been a while since I played Minish Cap. But I remember in Minish Cap, the big gimmick of that game was there was a lot of things that you could only do if you shrunk down to the size of a small Minish person, a Picori, right? And also sometimes you would have to be really big. And what was cool about it is that common enemies became giant boss fights, which was super cool about the Minish Cap. It would be interesting to see if we can even access that secret area where all the shrines were in Tears of the Kingdom. I'm personally not expecting that. So, Not expecting that at all. But I mean, there's a number of things that are going to be in the game that I may not be expecting, right? So, you know, if they do that, cool. And I mean, like, I do think we need to learn. Oh, there's another one. And I'm actually going to transition back to the list just so you guys can keep track with me. We do need to learn. Man, I had it. I lost it. Like, I had it in my head. I was going to say it. I was talking about the Minish cap. Let me look at the chat. If I look at this, I might re-jog my memory. We need to learn about. Darn it! I had it, and I lost it. Man, I was bouncing too many ideas in my head, so I kind of just, you know, missed it. I'll just say something completely different, and at some point it may come back up again. So, anyway. One other random... Man, I really want to get it, because in Breath of the Wild, shrines exist in separate areas. All of them were in this area. The area will be used for something. My guess is Minish-type dungeons, and I said I don't necessarily agree with the shrine areas having... I mean, yes, that existed, but I don't know if we'll see that, right? But now I remembered. So, the Sheikah technology. We need to learn what happened to the Sheikah technology. It is entirely missing throughout all the footage that we have seen for Tears of the Kingdom. The towers are gone. The Sheikah Slate is gone. The shrines are gone. What happened to them? So we need to learn about the Sheikah technology. What happened to the Sheikah? I before E except after C. I don't really remember. This is the name, so I'm not sure. Why am I? Welcome to the Sheikah Tower, to the Sheikah Tech. Is that how you say Sheikah? Am I forgetting how to spell Sheikah? Or did I do it right? I'm like questioning myself. No, the E is there. That's just English grammar doesn't apply to it. That's fine. All right, cool. All right, so I see I have another super chat here from the Ostrich. The Ostrich, thank you for the super chat, but I will not tolerate negativity towards others at all, right? So everyone has their own personality, right? As long as you're not harassing anyone, that's totally okay. So, you know, we're not going to read the super chat because that's disrespectful, and quite frankly, I like this person, so, you know, no, that's not okay. All right. Moving on. Let's get back to the chat here. Let me catch back up. Hello there, Brandon White. Hello there, Onyx. That's a good one. That's a good one, Onyx. Onyx says, I want to know if weapons will break. So, number 10. Will weapons still break? And if weapons do break, here's another one. Can we repair our weapons? I can't type. So that's 2 right there. I'm gonna put a slash repair slash enhance, because that's definitely something that people have thought about and questioned, and yeah. You could call that cheap and say, oh, that should be a part of just 1, but we have to get to 100. And I have confidence that we will get past 100, so I'm not really worried about that. I think that they can count as separate things. If you guys disagree, though, please, you know, violent outcry. Joy CJ, I want Link to have a full-on pet, not Epona. It would be interesting. Yeah, it would be interesting to have something a little bit different from a horse, and not specifically Epona. And also, I see higher up in the chat, Divas, add cats. Yeah, adding cats would be really nice. Onyx says, I want to be able to ride dragons. That would be really cool. 10,000 noodles. I want to pet a bloopy. Okay, yeah, those bloopies. Oh, they are pretty cute. Having Hope 5, I don't think Zelda will be playable, honestly, but we'll see. Yeah, we'll see. I want to think that she's going to be more than just a damsel in distress, but we'll see. I don't need her to be playable personally, but I do want her to play a more active role in the story. Let's see here. Nintendo Game says, being able to mount new mounts. So for detail 12, details about mounts this time. And I think this is a big one, right? Because, well, it's potentially a big one. Because will it just be horses again? Well, actually, hold on. That's not true. Well, there was more. It was more than horses. But horses were the only animal you could register. You couldn't register like goats or bears that you could, or deer that you could ride. You couldn't register the Stalfos horse, right? So there's that. There was also animals that you couldn't ride, like a moose or rhino from the Hebrew region, which I was very disappointed you couldn't ride. I tried very, very long and very hard to try and be able to ride those, and I couldn't. So hopefully they make those rideable. Oh, so I want to make something clear about this list. This list is not a wish list, right? It's not a wish list. It's not a... I mean, there's obviously some speculation here, but it's more about things that we expect to at some point learn about the game. Also, I misspelled mounts. There we go. Anyway, so like, you know, those are the things from Breath of the Wild that look either we could mount or looked like we could mount, and most of which we couldn't register. We actually could even somewhat mount the Lionel, but only temporarily for combat, right? It would be interesting if they would expand on this, for sure. I mean, I think we're on the same page there. And I've theorized before, and I'm sure some of you have as well, that what if there are mounts that we can fly? I mean, as Onyx brought up, what if we can ride dragons? Like, how cool would that be, right? So if dragons are in the game, we need to learn if we can mount them. If they perhaps bring back loft wings, can we ride those? You know, I had this idea the other day. I think I brought it up on stream last Monday with Brandon, like hiding above the clouds with that giant bird glider thing, and if you see a flock of loft wings, you can sneak up and jump on them, kind of like the air equivalent to how you can sneak up on a bunch of horses on Hyrule Field. So I think it'll be really cool. I think at some point we need to learn about mounts in this game. Has it changed at all? Is it exactly the same? I expect there's gonna be some differences, some changes and additions, but we shall see. But there's something else that I touched on during this piece that is also something that needs to be said, and that is dragons. We need to learn... I'm just gonna say dragons, because this is a big one, okay? Some of you may not realize it's a big one, but it is a big one, and let me explain why it's a big one. Firstly, there is dragon imagery all throughout everything we've seen in Tears of the Kingdom, okay? There is Zonai architecture that is prevalent throughout the footage we see in the game. But what's interesting about the Zonai architecture, it's predominantly of the dragon motif. And there was a couple other motifs. I think there was an owl, and I forget the other one. There was 3 animals. Zonai statue animals. What were they? One was an owl. And boars. Okay, yeah. So dragons represent courage, Link. Owls represent wisdom, and boars represent power. So what's cool about this thinking is that there's this green energy that's a big motif of the game, and then you have Link and the Triforce and perhaps the Triforce of Courage, and maybe there's a big element to him finally getting the Triforce of Courage because it wasn't in Breath of the Wild. Anyways, specifically with the dragons part though, so there's a lot of dragon imagery throughout the different Zonai stuff we're seeing. It's in the logo. I mean, look, I'll move this over. It's right here. It's in the logo. There's dragons right here. They're forming an Ouroboros-like thing. They're not snakes. They're dragons this time, but, you know, they are there. So, you got that. Now, the thing, going beyond that, right, there is, which trailer was it? I believe it was the latest trailer. The latest trailer, there was a small shot where you can see a dragon, a piece of a dragon behind the island. I have a video on this, so if you check the channel, if you go back like a couple months, you'll see a video about dragons. Or if you just Google dragons in Tears of the Kingdom, you'll see the video. I'm not the only person who discovered this, but there's a discussion to be had about that. And so we've seen imagery of dragons in the architecture. We've seen evidence of a dragon literally in the sky. If you go and play Breath of the Wild and you hit one of the divine dragons, they fly up into the clouds and through a cloud portal that you can no longer see anymore. With the knowledge we have on Tears of the Kingdom, with the realm being above the clouds, well, I mean, maybe they're there, right? So we've seen evidence of a dragon flying in that realm where, from Breath of the Wild, we see they escape to. And there's dragon imagery all throughout the architecture that is prevalent all throughout the sky and the trailers. And the big focus is a sky element. Like, clearly, dragons play a role in this game to some extent. Maybe it's just story related, maybe it goes beyond with gameplay. And if there's all of this sky, there's gonna need to be creatures in the sky. Maybe it's not just birds. So, dragons. We need to learn about the presence of dragons to some extent by the time the game comes out, I would say. I mean, maybe it's a surprise, but it is something that can be shared at some point to us. All right, let's see here. Awesome. I see we're now over 100 viewers. That is epic, guys. Super appreciated. Please like the video, though. I see we're at 46 likes and we have over 100 people watching. If we could get close to 100 likes, that would be spectacular. That way we can get more people in here watching and then more assistance to complete this list, because we are only at 13. But we will finish this list. Anyways, I see I have a super chat here from Nish Quick Pops. Who is the mysterious deity in the cave paintings? Boom! Thank you. That is another wonderful one right there. Mysterious deity. Okay. All right. I like referring to her as who is the Bunny Zonai, but in parentheticals I shall put mysterious deity in honor of your fantastic question, Nish Quick Pops. I almost put your name as I was like reading it. Okay, who is the Bunny Zonai? Very cool. So, I mean, I don't think this one is like at all like debatable. Like, obviously we're gonna learn about who this character is when we learn more about the story, right? The character is strongly prominent in the latest trailer all throughout. Like this character on the stone wall has a lot of screen time. Who is this character? It's obviously a huge question mark. We're gonna learn who this is. I refer to him as the Bunny Zonai because of the long ears, and I think it's Zonai architecture or hieroglyphs or whatever you want to call it. But we will learn about this as we learn more about the story in Tears of the Kingdom. I feel like if I just put story, it's not, because, you know, there's different things. Like Zelda's role, you could chalk under story, right? The Bunny Zonai, you could chalk under story. The dragons, you could chalk under story, but I also think it could impact gameplay. And actually, what's interesting about what I'm saying here, Zelda's role can impact both story and gameplay. Dragons can impact both story and gameplay. The Bunny Zonai could, in theory, also impact both story and gameplay. What if she's like this person that's kind of like Midna, that kind of like follows you around? Unlikely, but possible. Now let's see here. I have another super chat from Elytralod. Thank you very much for the super chat. It is super appreciated. Elytralod says, or asks, proper post-game that leads to rebuilding Hyrule. Okay. Thinking about this. I am all in on the rebuilding idea. All in on it. I guess I'm just trying to decide how it needs to be worded for it to be fair for the list, right? And so the other thing is, like, I don't necessarily believe that it has to be post game. I think rebuilding Hyrule could happen throughout the course of the game. It could be a big, it could be a plot point. It could be a huge series of side questing that makes the, just throughout the adventure. And I don't expect to learn about post game until we get the game, right? And then we read about it. So I'm not sure I'm going to put post game on this list, but I do think we need to learn about. There's a few different things here. We need to learn about the side quest system, because if there's a huge, if some of the speculation we've had on this channel, I'm sure it's happened elsewhere too. Maybe I haven't seen it, so I'm not sure. But there is a lot of speculation, at least from here, that there's going to be a huge effort to restore Hyrule, which is canon, right? That's part of the story at the end of Breath of the Wild. But we're building Hyrule. I guess that's what you mean by they refer to at the end. So there's a decent chance that they expand on this in Tears of the Kingdom, and there may be like an extensive questing to rebuild ruins and things like that, maybe Castle Town. Tarrytown apparently had more ambition for Tarrytown, and they just left it as it was. But at one point, it wasn't just gonna be cookie cutter stuff. Like, you were gonna have to add a lot more customization options and perhaps do it throughout the world. So there's a great chance they may expand on this with the sequel. So I think we need to learn about the side quest loop, right? So I think there's a chance that the side quest loop may be different than Breath of the Wild. It may be the same, and maybe that's it. This right here, if we learn that the side quest loop is exactly as it was in Breath of the Wild, that may be it. And it may go beyond that. And some of you may be thinking, "Oh, is this even really worth like saying?" Because their side quests are in most games, right? Well, okay. So for example, Xenoblade Chronicles 3, right? A part of their promotional material, like in the direct and stuff, they told us how the game worked, right? And part of telling us how the game worked was telling us about the mechanics of the game, the systems in place, and that include the side quest loop. They were telling us about the heroes and also interacting with the different colonies, and all of this was different types of side questing. So we do need to learn about the side quest systems that are in place, and that side quest loop can encapsulate rebuilding Hyrule. So good one. I want to say, yeah, Electrolot. All right, awesome. So very, very good. Okay, cool. All right, so we're at 15. Now let me come back to the regular chat here. Oh, got another super chat from Brian Doe. Okay, I look for to prioritize the super chats. Thank you, Brian Doe. Brian says, there will be 2 Hyrules. The horns didn't change. Moblins are from another time. The tapestry shows horn moblins. Zonai Link is 10,000 years old. It's an interesting theory, but I'm going to provide a counterpoint. But I understand where you're coming from, and maybe there is some time machinations going on here. Like there could be something to that. We even see with the hand that there is like a time reversal, but just for a particular object. My speculation, though, slightly different. My speculation is that with the resurrection of Ganondorf, the malice is at an all-time high, and with this in mind, the malice will strengthen his enemies. I mean, not his enemies. His forces, his legion, his minions. That includes the bokoblins, the moblins. So they're going to be extra powered up thanks to the malice, and this will lead to the big horns. And you may say, okay, but what about the past? Well, if this Zonai ruined stuff from that tap, I don't want to call it's not a tapestry. It's because it's like stone, right? So a tapestry is like soft cloth. Like a tapestry would be like in Breath of the Wild when they showed the forces and the Calamity Ganon, or like in Skyward Sword with that intro, or maybe even the Wind Waker intro. It's more like a stone monument wall with hieroglyphs and stuff like that. But still, the point is that the story is being told there, right? I think that this could be telling a story of when Ganondorf was around and the forces were at full strength. So you could argue that the malice was prevalent then too, hence the bigger horns. I haven't double-checked the horn thing, so, but I'm just saying that that's one way it could maybe work. But who knows? Maybe there's a time element too. I'm not saying there isn't. I'm saying we don't know. With that all said, something else we need to learn about is the blood moon system. Since we're talking about the moblins and stuff, we need to learn about the blood moon system. So, what do I mean by that? Alright, so the blood moon system was a system that was in place in Breath of the Wild. And it was actually extremely important to the game. Right, so the blood moon is basically, after a while, the moon will come up, except it's going to be red, and things are going to get really creepy and scary for a little bit, and then there's going to be a resurrection of everything that you've killed and destroyed. And this is the game's system in place to recycle everything that happens, because every chest you open up, thing you break, things you collect, like that eventually needs to be refreshed, and this blood moon system plays a role in that. So maybe it's not a blood moon this time, maybe it's something different, but there will be some system in place that will function as a way to refresh enemies and different things, and we will learn about it. I'm referring it to it as the blood moon system now because it may not change. That's what it was in Breath of the Wild, but it may be something different in Tears of the Kingdom. So, we're at 16. We are at 16. That's, I got 84 to go. Oh, it's gonna be fine. We're gonna make it. We've only been streaming for 50 minutes. I'm gonna have to pick up the pace a little bit, but it's fine. All right, going through the chat here. I know you guys are gonna bring up a lot of great ideas. I believe that with all my heart. Mac, is Princess Zelda would finally be able to use what she studied all that time. Yeah, maybe she can use some of her abilities if she has any. Super Saiyan 005, no more range, so we can climb, maybe a little less frequent. And I want spiders as enemies like in Twilight Princess, more realistic spiders. So, Super Saiyan 005, thank you for being a Super Saiyan. Maybe you were Super Saiyan 2 or 3, or perhaps beyond, maybe God. So, you actually provided two things right there, which I love. So, one, weather. We need to learn about the weather, right? I mentioned the blood moon system. We need to learn about the weather system. How has it changed, if at all? This is something that at some point needs to be relayed to us. So we will learn about the weather system at some point, and it's changed. We may not learn every little detail, but I'm sure we're going to at least see some evidence via gameplay footage, something like that. We're going to learn about the weather system. So we're going to learn how it's changed. We're going to see if it's any different in the sky. Because something else to point out, and when you play Breath of the Wild, the higher up you went, the colder it got. Like if you, I mean, I usually played with like the pro mode, so I wouldn't see most of the HUD. But if you have the HUD on, you would see like the temperature gauge, and as the higher you go up, the temperature gauge gets colder and colder. And then of course the game does has other subtle cues to tell you it's cold. Is that going to change though when we're up in the sky? Because as far as I know, when you're in the sky realm, you are even higher than wherever we could have gone in Breath of the Wild, right? You're above all of that. So at a certain point does the weather, is it the same? Is it extra cold and you can just withstand it? I doubt that, because we see Link have clothes that don't look that warm. He's like he's like wearing a shirt that's only half a shirt. So, you know, there's that. Anyway, we need to learn about the weather system. Because there are definitely differences that need to be addressed. And maybe there's some other cool weathers that we haven't experienced. Maybe there's going to be like malice rain that's just going to destroy us. And maybe we'll learn to see if rain has done anything to change, right? Now, another thing you brought up are spiders. Now, I'm not going to list spiders, but we do need to learn about more enemy variety. I think there needs to be enemy variety. We need to learn about, yeah, different new enemies. New enemies. At some point, they need to detail new enemies. Who is that green, like, mechanical thing in the second trailer? Like, what is that? So we need to learn about that. But continuing on that, we also need to learn about new wildlife. Because guess what? There's probably gonna be new wildlife too. I wouldn't even put this under theory territory, because we've seen evidence of new wildlife. In the first trailer, they're riding a giant like water buffalo that we do not see at all in Breath of the Wild. It's like a bigger one than anything we've seen, as far as I'm aware. So you need to learn about more wildlife. There's gonna be wildlife up above too. There's gonna at least be some different kind of bird variants probably. And you know, even though yes, Ganondorf is resurrected, there is a supposed period of time where there's peace, be it however much, and they could use that as a plot device for more different types of creatures to return to Hyrule from previous games that we can see, more animals, and also people as well. So we need to learn about new NPCs, non-playable characters. Now, this is obviously huge. We're not going to learn about every non-playable character before the game comes out, but some will probably be shown and referenced at some point or another. So we will learn about those. So that's, I mean, there's a few right there, right? So we're speeding up the pace just a little bit. We're at 20. We got 80 to go, and we're getting close. We're gonna go faster, I promise. I see we got about 120 people watching. That is awesome. Thank you guys for watching. Again, we're at 65 likes, which is definitely a jump up. But if we can get higher, if we can get to 100 likes, that would be super, super helpful. I want more people to see the stream, and I'm only at 20. We're at 20 facts, and we got 80 to go. And I'm not gonna stream for 7 hours, so definitely gotta pick up the pace. I feel it's fair that I do explain these things. I'm not gonna just list them without saying anything. I think there's a story to be said here, because it's not interesting if you're just like, oh, blah 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 blah. Okay, we're done, right? So obviously, there's gotta be some conversation per factoid here. Factoid, detail that they may reveal. DW for Smash. I think we need more variety in enemies and different bosses. Okay, so I meant, yeah, that's another one. So I said new enemies, but also we need to learn about bosses at some point. Will there be a return to the original boss? So, the original bosses, or like unique bosses, right? So in Breath of the Wild, there were just scourges. It would be cool to see if there are unique bosses per dungeon, and also overworld bosses as well. So I know I already said new enemies, but I was thinking about like common enemies. So let me put that here, new common enemies. But also, we need to learn about dungeon bosses, and I'm gonna shoot myself in the foot here, and overworld bosses. I could conclude this as 2, but actually, you know what? I think they should be 2. And maybe you disagree, but let me explain why I think they should be separate. Because overworld bosses impact the overworld exploration, right? They change that, right? Like, so say for example, they add an overworld boss in the sky. Like there's some sort of dragon or demon bird whale thing in the sky, right? And like that, it's a recurring overworld boss. It's in certain sections we have to fight. Similar to the Lionels, the Hinoxes, the Stone Taluses, those creatures. We have one, I forget the name of the one in the desert, but there's a desert one, Moldugas. But there's also needs to be one in the water. So we need to learn if they're about more overworld bosses they're going to add, if there's been any changes to the current overworld bosses. So that's something that needs to be done, and that impacts the overall exploration. But then with dungeons, we need to learn if the dungeons are just going to be scourges or if they're going to be unique bosses. Now, if there's more dungeons, we need to learn if there's going to be unique bosses. I will also concede that earlier we did say how well dungeons work, so, you know, this is more vague, but I was thinking more specifically about just how, you know, the shrine equivalent, what kind of type of dungeons are. But dungeon bosses, like, these could have thematic elements, they could be involved in the trailer or two, so I think it's still okay to put this. Moving on here. Okay, alright, Misa, alright, I see what you're saying. That's a good one, actually. Who cut Zelda's hair and why? So I realize that I'm definitely behind in the chat, and I'm going to try and catch up. So that's a good one. I don't know if I'm going to be a little bit more vague, but this kind of thing I think is important. We need to learn about the events that transpired between Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, right? Like, the events between both games. What happened, right? And maybe some of this doesn't happen in the beginning of the game. It's things that we learn about later on through discussions, books, journals, hints, things like that. So, yeah, or maybe with the Zelda hair thing, it might even be just like a design choice, and we may not see it in the game, but there may be an interview where we're like, oh yeah, we decided to go with this look for Zelda because we figured she's journeying around more and this makes more sense. So with that in mind, let's do this one. We need to learn about random details from developer diaries and interviews. There's always random nuggets that come out about this. This usually comes out after the game, but cut me some slack here. We still got a lot to do, and I think this can still account for a whole bunch of information. So there we go. Next, 25. All right, we need Sora's son need underwater exploration and underwater dungeon. Okay, so that's another one. What is going on with the water? Is it going to be the same, or will they update upon it, and will there be underwater exploration? With that in mind, have we talked about the subterranean? Have they let's see, able to pet dogs, master mode, full-length trailer. Can you see? You guys can see the whole list. Yeah, you can so far. Zelda's role, equipable items, Sheikah stuff. We have not mentioned this yet. So, confirm or deny subterranean. I'll just keep it simple. Underground exploration. And actually, on that note, confirm or deny expansion of Hyrule's borders. Because there are borders in the map of Hyrule that we can't go past, right? Will they expand on those literally like, on the X and Y axis and not just on the Z axis up and down? So that's something else we need to learn about at some point. Very good. Very good. Okay, cool. Yes, Onyx, I also want there to be an underwater themed dungeon. Spheromancer. I'd say sky mounts, but with getting from island to island being a key feature, and the stone thingy in the trailer, I don't think it happens. Maybe an endgame DLC like the Master Cycle. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely some mounts could be limited. Zalado, Gandor voice, that's a great one. We're going to get to that. But Spheromancer, something I take away from what you're saying here, we do need to learn about sky exploration. Like, sky exploration explained, right? Like, there's different things there, like that tier that shoots us up, the new glider. Like, there's a lot of different things, like how are we gonna get from one island to the other, that needs to be explained in detail. So definitely sky exploration, gliders, tier, phase jumping, other. There we go. Okay. Now, Zalado, you brought up Gandorf's voice. Yes, we need to see Gandorf's voice acting. We need to learn about that. That's gonna. I think that we may even see that with the next trailer. We need to see voice acting or a confirmation that he's just like a monster that doesn't talk. But I think the point of him being like that makes sense. Now, I'm gonna say, this. I'm gonna put in parentheticals here. Probably. In sense, it's probably Gandorf, right? But we also need confirmation that mummy thing is actually Gandorf. Because technically, we don't know that, and that is something that's yet to be confirmed, and that's something at some point that will be confirmed. So, there you go. And even obviously, even if it's not Gandorf, whatever it is we'll get. It looks like we'll get voice acting for. Divas, I need to know how the world's changed, how ground to sky dynamic is, and what limitations to reaching the height are. That's a cool one, and this is something like, just I realize this is kind of touching on the things we've already discovered, but. Let's just say limits to the sky, right? Like No, actually, no. You know what? This is it is. I'm gonna argue this is different, but how boundaries are handled. And this is not something. This is something we may have to actually play the game for. But you know, via previews, reviews, and things like that, early on, we may learn about this, right? So how boundaries are handled. This encapsulates the peak of this, the very peak that we can go in terms of sky exploration, but it also means the very bottom we can go in terms of subterranean or underwater exploration. But it also means how far west and east and north and south we can go. Like the very limits, like not just if it's been expanded, but what happens when we get there. Will it just be, hey, can't go any further, turn around? Probably. But we speculated here that maybe what could happen is they could do something fun. And what I would love, and again, you know, I'm not saying this is gonna happen, but it's just, if they did something like this, it would just be really cool. It'd be really cool if, let's say, you know, the sky, that's different, because the higher you go, maybe you just die if you go too high, right? In space, air, oxygen. It would be cool though if we could see if you can get to space. That would be really interesting, right? But let's say like you want to go out to sea or to the desert or go onto lands. Maybe you can actually get to the lands beyond the border of Hyrule from Breath of the Wild, but in Tears of the Kingdom. And what happens when you do it, it doesn't clip. It actually is like a mini game, and it's a cool mini game where the further you go, the more dangerous it becomes. The weather becomes more hectic. More and more enemies attack you. So maybe like the land to the north is a whole bunch of Lynels. The land to the west is a whole bunch of Hinoxes. The land to the desert to the south is a whole bunch of Moldugas, and then the ocean to the west, the east, there's a whole bunch of like Krakens, and the more you go, the weather gets worse and worse in each area, and you'll see more and more of these enemies. So it's almost like a survival game, and it's kind of like randomly generated, so it can go on infinitely. And just the further you go, you collect more items and stuff from killing the enemies, but then also you can die. And the idea is that it will imply that there is infinity in the world, or seemingly, you know, a very large, believable world, but it's so dangerous beyond the borders of Hyrule that it's just unrealistic, and obviously you'll never actually get anywhere beyond, but people want to try. Let people try. Let people enjoy that exploration factor. Like, I remember when I played the Wind Waker, like when I was a kid, and I would always want to go beyond the borders of the ocean, and the boat, King Road Lions, would tell you, it's too dangerous to go beyond this point. And they'd be like, what's so dangerous about there? What is so dangerous about the ocean that is away from Ganon? Those aren't Ganon-infested waters. What's so dangerous beyond that, right? That was that question. Obviously, you know, it's just an exploration, not go beyond. But what if they did something to kind of appease to that idea? So that's just an idea, but regardless, I think at some point we do need to learn about literally how the very edges of the world are going to be handled. AB James, no breakable items. I feel would make the game too easy. I had no problem whatsoever with breakable weapons. Every enemy you defeat drops a weapon. They are all over the place in chests and shrines. I was okay with it too. There was a little bit of a mental battle for me, like a psychological battle, like, oh man, I had this cool weapon, I don't want to break it, right? Like, I think a lot of people were challenged with that, but I also understand the point, and I do ultimately love, like, just kind of the flow, right? Oh, okay, this weapon's breaking, right? Toss it, critical hit, switch to the next. Oh, let's create a blizzard. Awesome, everything's frozen. All right, let's switch to my lightning sword. Let's shock and stun them. So, okay, let's switch to the giant claymore, do the rotating thing, get some mega damage in. Oh, it's about to break. Let's just throw it at the Hinox's head. Critical hit. Awesome. Like, I did like that flow. But there was still that hurdle of, oh, I don't want to break all my weapons. Like, but once you get past it, it's really cool. I think I personally, I would like the weapon breaking to stay, but I would like it if you can, if an item breaks, it breaks, but maybe there's a way to, if it's about to break, you don't break it, and you can take it to a repair shop to have it repaired or enhanced, or to increase its durability. Like, that would be neat if there's a little bit more customization with the weapons, but if a weapon breaks, it breaks, and that's it. You gotta find another one. But you can save it if it hasn't broken yet. When it tells you that it's about to break, but it hasn't broken, there will be a window for you to make that decision. Sorry, my nose is a little runny. Aurora Twilight. How much influence will Ganondorf impact the world of Hyrule? Like killing the Deku Tree and maybe destroying some villages. That's a good one, actually. Yeah, good one. Let's see here. So, Ganondorf's resurrection impact. Like, how does this impact the world overall, right? Like, we've seen some hints with, like, the volcano and the mouse erupting and the tornado, and we've seen the shaking. Like, how does it impact the overall world? Are people scared? Are people running away? Is there mouse coming everywhere? Are there more enemies? Like, yeah, I think Ganondorf's resurrection impact is definitely something we should learn about at some point. Mackie, there's going to be so many intentional and unintentional ways of getting to the skies. A little far away. Link needs to have a few voice lines. Okay, so we don't know if Link will have a voice, right? But I do agree that this needs to be addressed at some point. So I'll just say confirmation or denial of Link having a voice. Now, the tricky thing about this one, this might be something that'll be kept a secret until we actually play the game. So that, I realize I'm kind of maybe cheating a little bit with this one, but we may see it beforehand, or we may hear about it beforehand. Probably it won't be directly from Nintendo, but maybe it could go either way. It really just kind of depends, but potentially. Yeah, brand and white repairable weapons. I kind of listed that earlier on, so I also understand I'm behind with the chat. So like some of the things I'm reading from you guys, I understand. Like, you know, the timeline's a little off. Okay, Mac user, I think that's a good one. Is it going to be a seamless transition, or the sky, or is the sky going to need loading? I think the answer to that one is that it will be a seamless transition, because that would defeat the purpose of being open air. But I think they will show that and prove that it is. So confirmation of the game being true, full open world across, let's say, realms. This can also include subterranean or whatever else the game may include. And on that note, I mean, it kind of touched on it already. I mean, I could say, oh, there's a realm beyond what everything I mentioned, but I'll keep that in my back pocket in case we need to stretch ourselves to 100. Having 05. Dungeons need to make a return. I hope for underground and underwater exploration besides the sky. Lion-Star, have the ability to tame a Lionel as a battle pet. Now that would be cool. Let's see here. Man. This is what I get for just saying enemies. New common enemy. I said, well, technically I said new common enemies. I didn't say, we don't even know if Lionels are returning. So, and I feel like Lionels is a major enemy, so I don't feel bad about saying this. Confirmation of old enemies having variations. So like we've seen some of those, but I just mean like, will we see more Lionel types, things like that. Yes. We said Ganondorf's voice, we said Link's voice. I could just say voice acting in general, but you know what, actually, here's something. Will there be flashbacks? Like in Breath, like if there's one or two, that's one thing, but I mean like as the main way to tell a story. Will there be flashbacks? Like in BLTW, but also, will the champion's ancestors become true successors? Alrighty, I think that works. That's good. Lou JT, hola Andres. I'm a regular lurker as well, and I'm always enjoying your thoughtful takes on anything Zelda. For me, I'd like more combat options with Link, similar to Twilight Princess or better. Awesome. Yeah, I definitely think that that's a great one. Actually, so we need to learn about sky combat. Now I'm gonna start being cheap. We need to learn about sky combat. We also need to learn about underwater combat. Nah, let's not be cheap. We need to learn about combat changes and additions. Totally need to learn about that. But you know, I will say this. While we did talk about sky movement options, I think that on foot updates on foot platforming, I think that also matters. On foot. So like, you know, jumping, backflips, shield surfing, has that been changed? Have there been any additions? Yeah, we need some dark nuts. Out of context, I'm sure that sounds terrible. Onyx, I want to know if the Champion Descendants will say something about the Age of Calamity events. You know, that's a great one. Calamity, Age of Calamity, direct link or nah. Like we need to see if there's any evidence of that in the game as well. That's a good one. Playable Ganondorf, right? Natsu, 100 details seems like a lot. Yes, we're only at 40. Okay, well, you know, let's start being cheap, right? We asked how dungeons work, but how many dungeons? How many main dungeons, right? And then how many shrine equivalents? And continuing on, Korok seed replacements and overworld well, okay, we did kind of touch it on. Let's see here, did we do overworld variations? We did, let's see, what is going on with the water, confirm or deny underground exploration, confirm or deny Hyrule's border. No, okay, overworld. Okay, actually no. Let's be a little bit more specific. Changes to existing towns, new towns, changes to topography, like the, you know, the overall world structure. I don't think we did anything here that I don't think that's cheating. Weather system, blood moon system. Yeah, I don't see anything here that touches on that. So I think we're still in the green. Can you guys see the list? Okay, yeah, I'm now scrolling up to kind of get higher to there. Forest Hoku, literally the first fact is able to pet dogs. But how about just updates to animal interactions? Here's another one. So with the ESRB rating, the game does not include references to alcohol, but Breath of the Wild does. What happened to the bar in Gerudo. In the... Yeah, in the... I forget what the name of the bazaar, but, you know, in the desert. Let's just say that for now. Ooh, PM Kingdom. That's a nice one. Will Puraz age technology be used? I think that's a good one. Like, I mean, that technology's there, right? And they have their labs. Will we take advantage of the technology at all? Or since it's like Sheikah related, will it be entirely deactivated? Okay, looks like we copped to the chat, which is great. All right, Spheromancer, updates on Zoro's Domain, Death Mountain, Rito Village, Gerudo. Let's see here. Did I do anything that kind of cheats? Changes. I said changes to existing towns. But I also did bring up the Korok's replacements, how many main dungeons, updates on... Okay. Oh, oops. I forgot something here. Alright. Samuel, I know you've probably been waiting. Completely lost track. Gonna bring in Sam. I'm gonna bring in one of our call-ins for backup here. All right, one moment while I call in Samuel. All right. All right, I'm calling Samuel. Let me know. Getting him in here. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Awesome. All right, talk for a second.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So you are audible. All right, awesome. Let me put back up the chat. Very good. Okay, cool. I see we're at 82 likes. We got about 120-ish people watching. Guys, if you could like the stream, if we get to 100 likes, that'd be super helpful. I'm running out of ideas here. We're only about halfway done, so I need everyone to come in and help me out as much as possible to finish this list. We will finish this list tonight. It is going to happen.
I'm surprised you got the 50. I'm impressed.
We're at 48.
Yeah.
We're at 48. Super Chris, that's a great one. Will there be multiplayer?
No.
Probably not, but we do need to know. We don't have the back of the box yet, so it's still a worthy question. It's not...
Maybe something like Wind Waker. Like Wind Waker HD on the Wii U.
Oh, like
something
messaging.
Small. Yeah.
Okay, will there be multiplayer? This is where we're going to start being cheap. Will there be online social elements, which is a little different, like, you know, like maybe the tingle bottles, to your point, from the Wind Waker, if there's any Dark Souls like elements, things like that. So I feel like that can be different. So okay, great, we are at 50. There we go. Huge. And I see some things in the chat you guys are bringing up, so that's awesome. So let's see here. Andrew C, I think we already talked about air combat. Let's see here, let me double check. We did
since we're being cheap,
sky exploration. Okay, it's not technically
what
combat.
What is the replacement for shrines?
What?
Since we're being cheap, we could say, what is the replacement for shrines?
Well, I did say that. I said how many shrine equivalents, and also how many dungeons, main dungeons. So I think we use that. Let's see here. PM Kingdom. Is there a second Master Sword? Well, actually, we do need to learn what happened to the Master Sword exactly, right? And not only do we need to learn about what happened to the Master Sword, What are we doing with the Master Sword afterwards? Like, that's actually, you know, we might be able to get to 100 because there's ideas coming in. You guys in the chat are now throwing out different ideas. I want to get to them. I don't want to lose them. Curl Girls, will there be story DLC? So let's just keep it simple and say DLC plans. They may not announce it until after the game comes out, but maybe. So DLC plans, I think at least that deserves to be there. Yeah, we're halfway. We might be able to. And you know, coming back to the air combat thing, I'm trying to, because we brought up, I'm looking here at the list, right? At one point I said sky exploration, but I didn't say air combat. And I know I bring up combat later though. Let's see, what did I say? Where did I talk about combat? I know I did. I know I talked about combat. Maybe I didn't. Maybe I'm just fooling myself.
Oh, you talked about you talked about combat.
I did.
I don't think you put it in there. But...
Okay. Well, okay. I said we need to learn about combat changes and combat changes and additions. But you know what? Now this is where we're being cheap. On foot combat changes and additions. Now, sky combat, two different things. There we go.
Underwater combat.
I'm gonna not do that one because then I feel like I'm really cheesing it. Just because there may not be any underwater combat, right? It might just be swimming.
Yeah.
But I'll keep it in mind in case we're like at 98 and we're like, oh, I don't have any. Dodongo's returning. I feel that because I talked about, unless I decide to go like per creature, I did talk about returning. Okay, I said new common enemies, new wildlife, new NPCs.
Oh, here's a good one.
Did I say returning enemies? I think I did. I did.
What's the replacement for Hyrule Castle? Because we're probably not going to go through that a second time for the final dungeon.
Thinking about it.
It'll probably be like, or maybe like the Dark World Hyrule Castle. If that's, I really doubt that there's going to be a second world, but it would be nice.
Well, okay, so this is valid. What is going on with Hyrule Castle? Because something's going on with it, and we don't entirely understand what that is, right? I mean, we could probably surmise that Ganondorf is going to use it, right, as his home base, but we don't know that for a fact. We don't know how it's changing. So what's going on with Hyrule Castle is definitely valid. Let me see. I'm trying to go back to chat because I know people said some things and I don't want to miss what they said. Gray Saber, thank you. This is the one I was worrying about missing. Update on the Yiga clan. We do need to get an update on the Yiga clan. That is totally legit and totally true, and I totally agree. Update on the Yiga clan.
Yeah. For
sure. And with that said, update on the Sheikah clan, right? And to your point, confirmation of the Zonai clan presence, let's just say that. Like that needs to be important, right? Like we did mention the bunny Zonai early on.
So is that even what they're... I never really looked at a lot of the Zonai lore.
Sure.
Anything. Is that like what they're officially called? Or is it a made up name? Or
it's official.
I didn't look much into it.
So the Zonai, Zonai is officially a people or a tribe, and they are responsible for the labyrinths in Breath of the Wild, the owl, dragon, and boar statues you see throughout, those hexagonal columns as well. There's a lot of ruins that are all Zonai related. So if you see some sort of ancient ruin thing, it doesn't blatantly look like straight from like the Hyrule Castle sort of thing, and if it's not Sheikah Shrine technology, it's probably Zonai related. There are like some town areas that clearly were, just Hylian, but it's either Hylian ruins, Zonai ruins, or Shiga technology. It's one of those three, for the most part. If not, there's some stuff in the Gerudo Desert, but pretty much is kind of what it is. Confirmation of the Zonai presence, and actually on the note of the desert, any changes to the slightly visible, I got another one, slightly visible arbors.
I was just gonna say
grounds.
Like, what if that gets unearthed and you can explore Arbiter's grounds?
I hope so. That's like one of my hopes for, like, we get it just like a dungeon, like it's an actually dungeon we can explore, and it's like one of my dreams for this game is that they bring back a lot of, they kind of, they pay homage to the previous game's dungeons, and they kind of rework them, reimagine them, but in this world, and one of them could be like a excavated Arbiter's grounds. Like, that could be really cool. Even if it's not a dungeon, just to be able to explore it in some way would be interesting. Like, if there's this focus on subterranean exploration, even if it's not necessarily unearthed, maybe we can get to it from underwards. Oh, to your point about the water temple, maybe the water temple, there's a water temple, but you can only access it now because we actually have underwater exploration. Like, these are things like we can uncover other dungeons now because of the extra level of exploration, which would be really cool. It could explain away why all those classic style temples and dungeons were inaccessible, because we didn't have that same level or ability of exploration that we do in Tears of the Kingdom. So that would be really nice to see. But continuing on with things that I see in the desert, it's actually not just in the desert. There's 3 Leviathan bones. Any changes to the Leviathan bones? Yeah. I wanted to bring up the divine dragons, but I did say dragons straight up earlier, so I don't think I can include that. I think that would be cheating. Looking back to the chat here, I'm trying to pick up the pace, right? We're at 60. We need 40 more. I mean, I think we're definitely chugging away at it. Like, we're chipping. Cooldown. Will there be mini games in Tears of the Kingdom like Shielding Gallery and Ocarina of Time? New mini games.
We had some.
Yeah. New mini games.
Like, we had the bowling one, and but that was pretty much it.
It was like the flying thing.
Yeah.
There's a few flying things.
Tower.
Yeah. They could add. Yeah, I would like to see some more mini games for sure. The Master Sword description says the only one of its kind in this world. Could Link travel to another world or dimension to get a different sword? I think we theorized this before, but I think the sword is going to have Zonai magic power-ups. I think that's what's going to happen. Hey, Matthew Osborne, we did talk about flying mounts, but at the end of the stream, once I hit 100, what I'm probably going to do is kind of like review every single one very briefly, just so I can make sure everyone's on the same page. PM Kino, that's a good one.
There's also Death Mountain.
We'll get to that. Purpose of the giant glyphs. So, yeah, what is up with the giant glyphs? Now, the thing about Death Mountain, I may have trapped myself with this one, because at one point I said Ganondorf's resurrection impact, and this likely ties into what happens to Death Mountain, right? So I don't know, but you know what? This is something that I think is fair. What's in Death Mountain, right? So I don't think this is a cop-out, and let me explain why. Yes, I think it's likely the Ganondorf's resurrection has to do with the malice erupting from Death Mountain, but I think it also means we may get to explore Death Mountain more closely and see what's inside of it, and it may be beyond just malice. Maybe we see the fire temple in there, we see those ruins, things like that. Details that were inside Death Mountain that we never would have seen if we didn't get to explore inside of it, right? So I think that's fine. What's inside Death Mountain?
There's also those on the surface. They're not the glyphs, but there's like green swirly things.
The what?
Like, what are those?
What thing?
It was in the most recent trailer where they revealed the release date. There's these like green swirly things
On the terrain?
Yeah.
Well, that's what the giant the giant glyphs, like the green glowing glyphs on the surface of Hyrule. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's what that
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. All right, let me come back to the chat here. Ooh, that's a good one. What's hidden in the depths of Lake Hylia? Great one, Sam. There we go. We're getting there. We're figuring this out. Having Hope 5, I think I kind of touched on the Malice Castle situation.
Oh, here's a good one.
The chat jumped so much that like I just lost.
Those, I don't know if this counts with sky exploration, but those big stone towers in the sky. Or I think there's just one. But like, what is that?
What is the giant structure in the sky? Yeah, there's like that giant thing. What structure in the sky? What is the giant structure in the sky? So I got completely lost with the chat here. I'm trying to find out where things went. Humberto Lopez Dimitri. Will you still be able to get different outfits or even get new outfits? Okay, that's a good one. New outfits. That's fair. I hope so. I think there's gotta be, right? We gotta learn about that at some point. Stereomancer, reasoning to why we see multiple shots from Link on Hyrule's surface with no sky islands yet. How long will we play before they appear? Okay, explaining the sky barrier. Let's just call it that for now. That's a good one. I think we're gonna get it, guys. We have some momentum right now. We're getting there. Ooh, big man. Yep. New cooking mechanics. We're doing this. We're doing this. You know that in SpongeBob, there's that episode where SpongeBob needs to write like an essay, and he's like, "Oh man, I'm doing it." It's like this whole thing. It's this whole montage, and he just does one letter. That's the feeling I'm having right now. Except I feel like we're actually getting something done. Let's see. Okay, NK.
Where are you at right now?
We are at 68. NK asks, will Link get a musical instrument? This is a good one. I think many will say no, but we don't know that for a fact, and it's definitely something that it's a valid question. Like we'll need to learn. Will Link get an instrument? I think that's definitely valid. I kind of hope he does. I missed that trope from previous Zeldas, so hopefully that comes back. We'll see. All right, we have 69 done. How about that? Hello there, Lindsay Tompkins. How's it going?
Maybe we find out whatever happened to Skyloft.
Okay. Skyloft lore.
Yeah, maybe there's like ruins or something, and maybe there's texts that explain, you know, what happened.
I'm just gonna say
maybe it's still thriving.
I'm gonna say Sky lore and history, just because there's a chance we may not hear about Skyloft at all, right? And this is more about things that will be told to us, right? So I think it's fair to say that there will be Sky lore, Sky and history lore at some point that may include Skyloft. It may include the Oka. It may include the Sky City, but we don't know, right? But Sky and history lore, I think we'll learn something about that for sure. So I think that's fair. Let's see here. Brian Doe with another super chat. Thank you very much for the super chat. What was the glowing orb? What was the hand? What are the new champions doing? The voice of Anubo is back. What was on his hip? Why can Link reverse time? So, with what are the new champions doing? I did sort of make reference to that earlier with will the champions and will the champion ancestors become true successors? So I think that kind of covers it. But the other things I think are totally valid. So yeah, what is the glowing orb? And on that note, what is the main objective of the game, right? Okay, and I bring this up because I feel like it's related to this. What is the main objective to the game? Like, we need to learn, like, what is the main objective? Like, what is the goal? What are we trying to do?
Is Zelda playable?
We early on we did Zelda's role, so I think that includes it.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see here, but continuing on from Brian Doe, what was the hand? All right, so the identity of I'm gonna call it the Zonai hand. If it's not Zonai, I'm sorry, but identity of the Zonai hand, and what is going on with Link's arm, right? And I mean, I assume it's that Link's arm has these special powers, and it's gonna be like the Sheikah Slate, and there's gonna be like replacements for the rune abilities, right? So the time stasis, what is gone? What is going on with Link's hand? What is going on with the time stasis ability? And because we don't technically, while I assume it is basically an ability of the hand, right? I mean, it seems pretty obvious. We don't know for 100% sure if the hand powers are the replacement for the Sheikah Slate. So, what is the replacement for the Sheikah Slate?
Yeah, and we also need to know where that went. Like, did it go to the tech labs? Did, the Sheikah cease to exist? And along with it,
Yeah, I mean, at one point I did ask.
It's kind of a stretch to say they just disappeared off the map after a few months.
Yeah, at one point I did bring up the Sheikah technology, so I think that covers that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I see I had a super chat here from Bustin Q. Thank you for the super chat. I see the message was retracted, so I do not know what was said, but thank you very much nonetheless for that super chat. Coming back to the chat here, Sam, if you have anything else, feel free to continue to spitball. That's totally fine. Gray Saber, did Ganon use Link's blood to revive as needed in previous games, and that's why his hand is gray? Well, I think it's fair to say, how did Ganondorf, again, probably, resurrect? Like, how did that happen? That's something we need to learn about. Cooldown. What's the name of the green stuff on Link's arm and used in the Master Sword? Right, we could just call it Zonai Magic, but we don't know. What is the green stuff? We don't know for sure, so we need confirmation. And even if it is Zonai Magic, it may have its own name. It may have, like, its own system in place. So, like, for example, maybe it has, like, its own meter, like how there's a stamina meter. Maybe there's, like, a magic meter or an energy meter. We don't know what it is. So, that definitely, I think that's a fair question.
How did the Sky Islands come to be? Are they taken from the land? Were they just there?
So I think that this one is arguably cheating because we did put one. We put one for Sky lore, Sky and history lore.
But, yeah.
But we could maybe see, like, you could argue, like, the opening up, like, what is the inciting incident for the opening up of, like, what causes, I mean, I think if I go back to that, I think there's something there that we kind of...
How are these Sky Islands revealed to Hyrule?
Okay, so explain the sky barrier, I think, kind of covers between explain the sky barrier and sky and history lore. I feel like we kind of technically cover it, so I'm gonna leave it out. But what was that last part you brought up?
Like how are these sky islands revealed to Hyrule? Like how? Because in my eyes, it's a separate kingdom. Whatever name it is, or they're just separate in general. If there even is anybody living up there, which I suspect there is.
Okay. Let's say civilization. What is the culture? Culture of the civilization, or lack thereof. We don't know for sure, right? Or lack thereof of the Sky Realm, right? Now I feel this is fair because, like, if it's non-existent, or if it's all like dead, then yes, you could argue it falls under Sky lore. But if it is existent, that's when you need to know, like, if there's like living something there, right? I mean, maybe I could just make it like, are there living sky people?
Yeah.
Are there living sky people and villages? Okay. All right, Boston QSC, you probably know super chat. Thank you very much. You ask, will we get to see the Hylian shield again? Maybe. Yeah, I mean, it's a valid question. Like, will the Master Shield return? We don't know that for a fact. I would assume it does, but we don't know that for a fact, right? So, I think it's fair. I said Master Sword,
maybe
but
more
Master Shield.
Returning Zelda weapons, like the Bigoron sword, Megaton hammer, stuff like that.
Yeah.
That might fit under what you said before about like weapons.
Did I put returning items? If we didn't put returning items, we could say that.
Yeah.
I just want to double check. Let's see here. When you have a list of 100, it's hard to keep up with it. How many shrines?
Yeah, I can only process like 20 at a time.
Right. But I know we talked about items at one point. I think it was early on.
Yeah,
though.
It was when I brought up the dungeon items.
Okay. So we talked about how equipable items will work, how will dungeons work, how will weapons make, but we did not talk about, will we see items return specifically from previous games? Will items from previous Zeldas return? Okay. All right, cool. Okay, I think that's fair, Emmy. Emmy says, I just want to know if Impa would die from old age as soon as the game starts. I think Impa, since Impa's her own independent character, I think she not, even though we asked, but we had one for like the going ons with the Sheikah, they're like a whole people. I think we should also be like, Impa's like her own important character, right? Like Impa's well-being, or let's just say Impa update. There we go, Impa update. Yeah, what else can we attach to our shields? I think that does technically fall under how items work. And I put that earlier on, how equipable items work. So I think that technically we have that. Lindsay, we are guessing different things that we can learn about Tears of the Kingdom, or Nintendo could reveal about Tears of the Kingdom by the time the game comes out. It's not necessarily something that will, but it's something that could reveal to us. So different details about the game, basically, that we may learn about soon.
how do they explain?
Yeah,
Our
Moshigani, I
RP
do
setting?
not mean to say that I think all this should be revealed. Oh, okay, I see what you mean. I could have put 100 details about Tears of the Kingdom Nintendo needs to reveal. Okay, maybe I should change it to could. Wonder details about Tears of the Kingdom Nintendo may reveal. There we go. That's more appropriate. That's a better title. Thank you for pointing that out. Will there be a camera to replace that slate ability? Oh, okay. That's a good one. Will there be a camera, as many games have? Yeah, that's important. Underwater mechanics. I think we kind of touched on that. Oh, I said underwater exploration, maybe. All right, so I said sky exploration. What is going on with the water? Confirm or deny underground exploration. I think I'm gonna leave it out. No, actually, I didn't. Curl Goals. I did not talk about Ganondorf's backstory or how he got under Hyrule Castle. So, Ganondorf backstory. That's gotta happen. Ooh, that's a good one. PM Kingdom. Sheikah lore. Okay, let's just say Sheikah lore for now, because that kind of goes beyond, right? Ooh, Elvin Alvarez, good one. How will the music change? How will music change? Okay.
Do we see Fi again in some form?
Okay.
Do you remember that
okay.
cutscene?
Okay.
Yeah.
Will we see some other reference to Fi? Okay. Alrighty.
What is this game's Great Plateau?
That's a good one. Great Plateau equivalent. Okay. That was a really good one. All right, we got 88. We are close. We are at the finish line, guys. We can get there. Okay. All right, Evan. That's a good one. More story driven. More story focus. Or not. Okay. Brian, I think we got to the glowing orb. PMQ, Dark World highly possible due to the 7 heroines being descendants of the sages, and in A Link to the Past, the maidens were sent to the Dark Void. This could have happened already. So, I don't know if I feel good about saying Dark World, but...
Second world? Parallel world.
Considering the history, I think that is fair. There have been several Zelda games that have had a parallel world. I think that is fair to ask. Will there be a parallel world? I doubt it, but considering everything, underground and sky and stuff, right? Like that might function as a parallel world, but it's still a valid question. So there we go.
I mean, if they were to have this parallel world, it would have to be the whole map.
Yeah.
And with significant changes. I mean, Link to the Past, it was a small map, so.
Yeah. 7 heroines / 7 sages lore. We need to learn more about that. I think we could learn about that. It could be involved with the story, especially because there's 7 tiers. So that makes sense. Oh, here's another one. Meaning of the title. Meaning of the title. I think that's one that could be happen. Perk 30. How
Maybe
open will the world
well.
be? I think we kind of touched on that. I think, well, maybe we were a little bit more specific. I think we did how boundaries are handled. Confirmer. Yeah, we had several things related to that, so I'm not going to put that one. Let's see here. We did mention Sheikah technology as well, perk 30. So we did bring up dungeons. So I don't know if we can... That would probably be the replacement for Divine Beasts. However, and Divine Beasts are also Sheikah technology, but would it be fair to include the Divine Beasts? Will we have to... Will the Divine Beasts be involved? I think that's fair, because, like, even if we get an explanation of the Sheikah technology, that doesn't necessarily confirm or deny if the Divine Beasts... Like, it might deny that there will not be Divine Beasts at all in Tears of the Kingdom, but it wouldn't necessarily confirm if we learn about what happened to Sheikah technology, like, because maybe the Divine Beast could be some kind of element. So I think we could put Divine Beasts relevance to game. Let's just put that, because it also could be story related too, which makes me feel a little bit better about putting this, even though we talked about the absence of Sheikah technology. Yeah, we got to the Great Plateau one already. We mentioned weapon crafting.
All right, is it working now?
Oh, were you trying to talk this whole time?
Yep.
Oh, no. Yeah, I didn't notice, but I can hear you now. Alright, Having Hope 5. Zelda has a Sheikah Slate in the first trailer, but I'm not sure she will have it or not after falling to a hole. Does she have it in the first trailer? I don't think she does. She has it at the end of the game, at the end of Breath of the Wild, though. Did I not put down the glowing orb, Brian Doe? No, I said, what is the glowing orb? I think that's fair. Okay, I did put it down. All right, I think it's just because I'm behind with the chat.
How much of a time skip is there between Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom?
So I think we can't put that one because I put down earlier what transpired between both games. And I think that should include the time skip.
Oh, true. Yeah.
Yeah, I got the green stuff cooldown.
What number are we at right now?
We are at, we've gone 93. So we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we did the Skylore thing, but here's something that I do think is worth putting. The Minish. Will there be will something similar to the Minish, if not themselves, be in the game? Because I should just put the Minish, like, in question mark, just to simplify it. The Minish, because the reason why this would be relevant, you might think, well, I mean, why should we just ask about a random thing like that? It's because they had planned to put a little people like the Minish in Breath of the Wild. It was cut beforehand, so the Minish people I think is a valid question for Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah, the arm was cut content as well, right? So it seems like they're putting a lot of cut content.
Yes. Ooh, this is a good one. 7 IUE. Will Great Fairies return? Great Fairies return. That's a good one. Yeah, I think okay, so let's see here. Wait, I think we brought the Leviathan burns earlier. We brought up outfit changes, Leia Bell. PM can bring the shooting. We touched on mini games, so I think that's fine. Mac user goddess colors. Okay, so return of the individual Triforce pieces. Courage, wisdom, power. Will they return? Because it was just the one with Zelda. And actually, on that note, well, okay, so Zelda's role. I was gonna put will Zelda's powers return, but I feel like that's I don't think that's because it might be like a late game thing.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a good one. Tiny_Tomsk added me. Does the green arm that fuses with Link mean the return of a companion character, or is Zelda one? So let's just put companion character, because that's definitely a valid point. We just need 3 more to hit 100. We've been live for 2 hours. We've gotten 97. We're getting there. Nintendo Gaming. Fishing like in past Zelda. Okay. Return of original fishing style. Because you can still technically get fish. Let's just do fishing rod. I think that would include that. Because we didn't have a fishing rod. Fishing rod. Okay. Okay, cooldown. Magic bar. Will there be a magic bar? There we go. That's true. 99. We're looks like we're gonna break 100. Watch that be like it. There's like no more that we could possibly think of. Lanero Promenade info. What's so special about the Lanero Promenade? Like, why should I think that that's worth bringing up? Because like we mentioned like environmental changes. So I'm trying to remember what was so special about this area.
Was that by Kakariko?
I remember this area. You know what? I think history of different Hylian ruins in BLTW lore. Like, I think...
Yeah, there's tons of those.
Yeah, so, like, we could learn more about that, and that includes the Lanero Promenade. Okay.
They even had the, on Hyrule Field, they had the ranch from Ocarina of Time. Lon Lon Ranch.
Yeah. We touched on the giant building, I think. I think I brought that up. Spheromancer.
Yeah, the ones in the sky.
But the purpose of the gateways though on the Sky Islands. Okay, we're breaking 100. 101. Sky Island gateways. Okay. I feel like this team effort was totally like, had I tried to do this by myself, I would have been screwed. Maybe. I don't know. But together we
brought up like 8 of them.
Yeah.
It's hard to come up with a ton.
Audio animation is a good one. Amiibo news. That's a good point. Actually, that on that note, Amiibo news. Amiibo news.
That should be coming Tuesday.
Special edition news. If there's an OLED version, will there be special joy? Like, even though like you could say, oh, the OLED version will have special Joy-Cons, if there's not an OLED, there could still be special Joy-Cons. So I think it is deserving of its own question.
Yeah, like Skyward Sword HD had Joy-Cons.
Right, special Joy-Cons.
But no console.
But also some very core-centric Switch games have gotten their own Pro Controller, like Xenoblade 2 and Smash Brothers. So,
oh yeah, that would be great. Because I don't use Joy-Cons, I use the Pro Controller.
Yeah, I would prefer a Pro Controller than Joy-Cons. That'd be more exciting. So special Pro Controller. So those are all valid to bring up. Okay, Ariana, I think that's fair. I think we could bring up Link and Zelda's relationship. I thought about putting it, but the thing is, I guess I don't want to like we shouldn't be like thinking that they should tell us about what's gonna happen at the end of the game, but we could get an update explaining a little bit more on the relationship. Updates on Zelink relationship. Okay. Should we go to 150? No, don't kill me. We touched on Zelda's role, so I don't think we could put playable princess, big champ. Are we gonna get a Hyrule Compendium? Okay. New Hyrule Compendium. That's a valid one. Okay.
Yeah,
There's
I think
more
those
animals
will
and stuff and things like that. Makes
return.
sense.
There's got to be some way to explain it.
Yeah.
They're not just going to add it in Breath of the Wild and take it away in this one.
So we mentioned NPCs, but new races I think is still valid. So we can definitely put that one 10,000 noodles. New races. 110. Okay. Ooh, it's a good one cooldown. Breath of the Wild save data bonuses. Awesome. I like that we're definitely going in surplus here. So if like there's some that maybe some people disagree with, like, hey, at least we have extra. So I said amiibo, but amiibo functionality. Let's be cheap. Let's go for it. Because what about old amiibo, right? Not just new amiibo. So I think it's actually still fair. Amiibo functionality. Like if it was a wolf amiibo, still do the same things, do something new. Let's just say, I see what you're saying, PM Kingdom. Let's just say, I think he was supposed to be wasted away, but let's just say, demise story, demise lore. No. Master Sword lore, which may include demise. We're more likely to get Master Sword lore. Demise may never be mentioned. But if he is, it would fall under Master Sword lore because he was trapped in it. Okay, I'm reaching near the end of the stream here. Yeah, so I'm gonna probably like close things out soon and then review. Sam, was there anything else you want to bring up before I go solo?
Is it alright if it's not related to the Tears of the Kingdom?
Sure. I'll keep it brief though, just to stay on topic, but that's fine.
Yeah. Do you think we're gonna get, the reports how
I'm gonna do a few more of the
0 games for the second half of the year?
Say it one more time.
You know how the reports have been saying like no games for Switch second half of the year, Switch dead.
Yeah.
Do you think they'll keep up a pace of a game a month or a game every 2 months or something?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I can't see where...
I do, but I think maybe there won't be as many brand new releases. Maybe there's a slightly more ratio of remasters, but I still think it's going to be new games. I think most Nintendo fans are going to be okay. Well, I think that at least the core Nintendo fan base is not going to mind the next 9 months after Tears of the Kingdom. Like I think after Tears of the Kingdom comes out, I think we're looking at about at most a year before our next system. And Tears of the Kingdom is going to hold us over. There's a lot of DLC coming out. There's still going to be some new games, and there's going to be some remasters. So I honestly, I think the lineup's going to be fine. I don't really think it's going to be a big deal.
Yeah, me too.
Like,
honestly, it'll give me time to get through my backlog because I have a ton of stuff I haven't beaten. Something
that Nintendo may do to kind of maybe counteract the less big releases. Like, there'll still be games, but maybe there's not going to be like a major Pokemon. There's not going to be another Splatoon. There's not going to be a 3D Mario, right? Like, so what they may do instead is like more deals to kind of bolster sales, right? So instead of having that game's going to sell 20 plus million this holiday, they'll have something that is still going to push sales in some way. So like, for example, Nintendo announced the vouchers recently, right? So you got that. Maybe they announced a price drop. Maybe they announced more deals. Things like that, I think, is something they can do. But yes. I am going to come back to do a few more details here, guys. I'm just It's Ruby time. But,
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else, Samuel?
No, that's pretty much it.
All right, man. Well, thanks for coming on and helping out. I'll talk to you in the future.
All right, thank you.
All right. Bye, buddy.
Bye.
Alrighty. So, let's see where we are in the chat. Okay, cool. Hey. How you doing? Alright, let me put you... I know you want to be here, but I'm just going to put you on my lap, okay? Trying to finish the list. Alright. Let's see here. Yeah, we are at 113. We're at 112, but let's let me get a few more just for giggles. All right, and then we'll review. Leia Bell, Ruby is an Abyssinian. All right, Tiny Tomsk, Akala Citadel, restored, repurposed, explorable. Ooh, okay. It's not lore. Yeah, I mean, Akala's a big deal. Akala Citadel changes. Sure. That was a big structure. Josh Coleman, what are those flying birds at the end of the third trailer? I believe it's a Kargarok, but yeah. Big bird, big flying creature. Flying creature identity. There we go. Oh, I forgot. I wasn't sharing. I thought I was. Oh, no, I am. Oh, I see. I was looking at the stream preview, and that's why I thought I wasn't sharing. Okay, cool. And it looks like you guys can see the bottom of the list. I'll raise this a little bit here. Okay. What happened to the Guardians after Link killed the Dark Beast? Cornworld. Yeah, I think that falls under what happens to the Sheikah technology, so I'm not going to add that. But, yeah, Forgotten... Oops, hit the mic, my bad. Forgotten Temple. I think we could add that one. Well, sort of, because Forgotten Temple changes... So, funny thing, Crystal Black, the very first one is able to pet dogs. So, we did make sure to include that. So, it is there. Yeah. Ooh, that is a good one, big man. What happened to the Deku Tree? Because it's not in the footage. Good one. So I put one where it happened to different recurring species, Gray Saber, so I think I won't update that one. Okay, updates on Hyrule rebuild, like what happened leading up to there. I think that's fair. Definitely. Gray Saber, that's a fair one. I put 2 eyes. My cat's blocking my view. You're blocking my view, you know that? What's the meaning behind the dragon symbol that looks kind of like an Ouroboros on the title screen? Yeah. Meaning of the dragon Ouroboros. Good one, Milfi Sky. Very good. Okay. Uh, 10,000 was gotta copy and paste this list somewhere. You know what I'll do? I will copy and paste it, and I'll put it on a community post. so everyone can see it. I'll wait a couple days though. Yeah. The thing is, we have something that talks about explain the different sky transportation mechanics. I think that bird thing falls under there. And we did bring up the rewind ability, Matthew. Yeah, and yeah. I think you may be right about its ability reversing just a. I think. Well, no. I think it reverses the time of the object, and the reason why I believe this is because, and it could be a separate ability, but I don't think it is in the second trailer where we see the metal spike ball where we revert, it goes like, you know, gray and we send it backwards. We see like the yellow power being used on a block that goes upwards in the third major trailer, and it looks like it's the same ability. And if the block came from the sky at one point, it fell down, the implication is in the past it was in the sky, so you use the stasis ability, the time stasis ability, to reverse the time of that object to go back upwards, and you can write it. That's why I think it's related to time. Okay, all right, good one, Josh. Will it look better than Breath of the Wild in both graphics? Yeah, so better than BOTW graphics. And on that note, we need to learn about resolution, and frame rate. We need to learn about frame rate, consistency of it. We sort of touched on the shrines already, Chris. Yes, Cass, Cornwall. Yeah, what happened to Cass? Having put the list on Discord. Okay, I can put the list on Discord, and I will post it on the community tab too. But I'll let people watch the stream for the night, and then I'll post it tomorrow. 122. Our boy. Our boy Cass. How will the story be told? We kind of talked about story versus how the story focus will be, so I won't touch that one, Leia Bell. All right, that's it. I'm calling it. We're staying at we're staying at 122. So, let's. I'm tired, but let's go over the list. Make sure you guys can see it all. You guys can see it all. Okay, cool. Well, you will when I scroll down. All right, so we got 122. These are different details that Nintendo may reveal about Tears of the Kingdom. Able to pet dogs. Master mode or other difficulty options. A full-length trailer we need to get. Hold on. I'm adding. 123. Zelda Direct. 124. Zelda Treehouse. Oh, okay. Here's another one. We'll keep it at 125 to be neat. Pre-order bonuses. Okay, there we go. All right. Anyway, so a full-length trailer. How does the map work? The opening cutscene in full. Zelda's role. How equipable items work. How will dungeons work? What happens to the Sheikah technology? What weapons still break? Can we repair and enhance our weapons? Details about mounts this time. Dragons. Who is the Bunny Zonai, that mysterious deity? The side quest loop, how side quests may work or change in this game. A replacement or an update on the Blood Moon system. the weather system, new common enemies, new wildlife, new non-playable characters. My cat, what are you doing? I don't want to delete this. All right. The updates on dungeon bosses, overworld bosses, the events between both games, how they transpired and changed, random details from developer diaries and interviews, what is going on with the water, what is going on with the water. My cat wants to escape. Oh, to escape. There you go. Cool. Confirm or deny underground exploration, sky exploration, gliders, tier phasing, stuff like that. Ganondorf's voice acting, confirmation that the mummy is actually Ganondorf, how boundaries are handled in the game, the impact of Ganondorf's resurrection, confirmation or denial of Link having a voice, confirmation of the game being true full open world across the realms, confirmation of old enemies having variations, will there be flashbacks like in Breath of the Wild, will the champion ancestors become true successors, on-foot combat changes and additions, updates on on-foot platforming, Age of Calamity direct link or nah, like a link to Age of Calamity, how many main dungeons, how many shrine equivalents, Korok seed replacements, changes to existing towns, new towns, changes to topography, updates to animal interactions, what happened to the bar in the desert, will Purah's age technology be used, will there be multiplayer, will there be online social elements, what happened to the Master Sword, what are we doing to the Master Sword, DLC plans, Sky Combat, what is going on with Hyrule Castle, update on the Yugo clan, update on the Sheikah clan, not just the technology, that's why there's a difference there. Confirmation of the Zone A presence, any changes to the slightly visible Arbiter's ground, so closing the door because noise. Any changes to the Leviathan bones. Where are we? New mini games, purpose of the giant glyphs, like those green glowing glyphs we see in the latest trailer. What's inside Death Mountain? What's hidden the depths of Lake Hylia? What is a giant structure in the sky? New outfits, explaining the sky barrier. Let's see. I lost myself. Let me scroll up a little bit. Okay. Explain the sky barrier, new cooking mechanics, will Link get a musical instrument, sky and history lore, what is the glowing orb, what is the main objective to the game, identity of the Zone I hand, what is going on with Link's hand, what is going on with the time stasis ability, what is the replacement for the Sheikah slate, how did Ganondorf probably resurrect, what is the green stuff, are there living sky people in villages, will the Master Shield return actually, will items for previous Zelda's return, an Impa update, will there be a camera, Ganondorf backstory, Sheikah lore, how will the music change, will we see some other references to Fi, the Great Plateau equivalent, more story focus or not, will there be a parallel world, the 7 heroines or 7 sages lore, meaning of the title, Divine Beast relevance to the game, the Minish people, Great Fairies return, return of the individual Triforce pieces, scroll all the way up here, a companion character, the fishing rod, a magic bar, history of different Hylians in Breath of the Wild lore, Sky Island gateways, Amiibo news, special edition news, OLED versions, special Joy-Cons, special Pro Controller, updates on Zelda-Link relation, like Zelda and Link, new Hyrule Compendium, new races, Breath of the Wild save data bonuses, Amiibo functionality, Master Sword lore, Akala Citadel changes, Flying Creature identity, Forgotten Temple changes, what happened to the Deku Tree, updates on the Hyrule rebuild, meaning of the Dragon Ouroboros, better than Breath of the Wild graphics, resolution, frame rate, our boy Cass, a Zelda Direct, a Zelda Treehouse, and pre-order bonuses, and I'm pretty sure we could probably come up with more, but that is 125. Sorry, my nose is a little runny. There we go. We did it. We exceeded it by a decent margin, so I feel pretty good about that. Melfi Sky, I think we touched on weapon durability early on. Yeah, we did. Can we repair enhanced weapons? will weapons still break? There's two different things. Spheromancer, going to 1,000, 24-hour stream. I will do that if someone gives me $1,000. Otherwise, I'm not going to do that. I'm about to pass out. So, barring $1,000 just magically appearing on my lap, I think this is the end of the stream. But I think we did pretty good. I don't think I could have gone to 100 by myself, at least not within 2 hours. 2 hours-ish. So, I think we did a great job. I think this was fun. I think it'll be fun to do more challenges like this. And it's pretty cool. It was pretty cool. So, guys, thank you for watching. And interestingly, I'm seeing here, there are 105 concurrent viewers and 105 likes. So there's a exact match here. Does that mean everyone watching has liked the stream? Probably not. I'm sure some people dropped out, some people came in. So if you are here, please like the stream. It's super helpful. But and also subscribe if you're new. Yeah, it was fun. So I'll be seeing you soon. Have a good night. Take care. Bye.